Welcome everybody to Untamed. Got it wrong already. My first 10 seconds. Untamed, Unbroken, the Chronicle of House Tanner. This is our Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game live play. And we're on episode 5, which I'm kind of surprised that we've gotten to 5 episodes so far.
Wow.
Small. Garrett, you're playing Ricard, Lord Tanner. Deborah, you have got Benjamin. Does Benjamin have a last name?
Yes. Stalack. S-T-A-L-A-C-K.
Stalack. Okay. Benjamin Stalack, who is the Master at Arms and a woman cross-dressing as a man. And then James, you're playing Corlin, the Master of the Hunt.
Yes. And I even got a new icon. So now I got a picture next to my over there.
Oh, nice. Oh, sweet.
So,
well done.
Thank you, Random.
Outstanding. All right. Just as a reminder for anybody who might be listening, we have a wiki. We have a wiki site, and the link to that is going to be in the description for the video. But that gives you a description of gives you maps of the house lands and descriptions of the neighboring territories and who the people are and the history of the house and all the house's game stats. And I'll start putting up pages for all the individual characters. And I'm going to give you guys access to your own pages so that you can make changes and update stuff there. But I'll have your character sheets put up there so that and that's going to be kind of our definitive version of everybody's character sheets. So as you spend experience points, you can go on and just make those changes on the website. Okay.
Cool.
Now, when last we met, so it's been about it's been a few months since the beginning of the game. It's 2 years before the events of the book or the show, and you had a visitor from north of you. Let me pull up my own web, well, the wiki itself, our website. And you were visited by some of your neighbors. And if you look on the wiki, see some of the narrator characters and who they are. You were visited by Ayleth Bartheld of House Bartheld. He is the younger but legitimate son of your northern neighbor, Lord Bartheld. Ayleth is actually the son of his wife by a previous marriage. Anyway, he's young, about the age of your own heir, Willem Tanner. And Ayleth visited. He brought some gifts and reminded you of your shared history in the War of the Usurper. And you guys sort of plied each other for information and for intrigue. You were looking for information from him about the size and morale and loyalty of his father's military forces, and he described what those forces are, which is about 300 men and then 20 cavalry. And he described who they are, and you got an idea for their level of training and skill. That's a slightly larger force than your own military, and they're probably better trained and better equipped. But while you were doing that, he was plying you in an attempt to win your friendship, and he succeeded. So you guys both won, basically. You got the information that you wanted, and he got you to like him. Soon after, you traveled south to visit Hart House, your other nearby neighbor. And if you look at our map on the Trident webpage, I'll just paste that into the chat window. You'll see the maps that I'm working on. Now, these maps are not finished yet, obviously, because there are some blank spaces on them. But you can see where Tanner's property is in the center, and the town, Tannerton, where Lord Haraway's town would be in the official book and television show canon. And you can see the forest that's immediately north of you, Durain's Forest, infamously infested with bandits. And then your neighbor that visited you was from beyond north of that forest. And then if you look south, you will see your immediate southern neighbor is a land of oh, now I've forgotten all the houses. Let's see, House Bartheld. And they live in Hart House, which is their hall, famous for its hospitality and being a place for people to come and stay and visit and sometimes never leave.
No, that's the one that's operating as like a local neutral ground, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, in the sense that they're very well connected. The Barthelds have centuries of service to the Baratheons, and their status is actually higher than yours. Your house is status 4, but the Barthelds are status 5. They have a long and glorious history of service to the Baratheons. And,
okay,
sorry.
sorry.
No, please.
I was just going to say, so if I'm reading this right, so the red lines on the leftmost map on the wiki, those kind of outline the kind of general areas of control of these various houses.
Yeah, those are your domains.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the dashed red lines are political borders.
okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
All right. So yeah. So the family we're talking about now is that big block that's below us, and even though we have about as much territory as them, a whole bunch of ours is essentially uncontrolled, kind of unutilized forest.
Well, it's at the moment, yeah. So if you get a little game mechanic-y for a minute, 7 hexes on this map is considered to be what's called a domain. That's like the basic unit of real estate in the house system.
Okay.
So if you were the minimum amount of land that you could have and still be a noble house is 1 domain. In fact, if you look at your other southern neighbor, down there where it says Castle Derry, that's House Derry, and they have 7 hexes. They have their land is half the size of yours, and that's the minimum size that a house can have and still be a house. But Derry used to have much larger space. They used to have much more territory, but they have lost it over time, and they suffered. What's that?
So if we take one of theirs, they're no longer a house.
Well, yeah, so you would deprive them of their remaining land, and yeah, that would be a big deal. But so you can see the two domains that are actually in House Tanner. You have the forest and you have the plains, and then what happens is you with your house. You can remember, if you look at your house stats, if you look at just click on the House Tanner page, and you'll see all of the house stats, which is just a spreadsheet. And again, I'll put that into the that window.
Yeah,
you can see your wealth score of 25, and with that wealth, you bought stuff. Well, the port that you bought, which cost you 10 wealth, that has to be assigned to a domain. So in your case, that's the plains domain. But you don't have anything assigned to the forest domain. So there's people living there and ranching there. There's cattle herds and stuff like that. But you don't receive any personal wealth from it. If you bought another land benefit of some kind, like cattle herds, for example, or a lumber mill or something, you would have to assign it to a domain, and you would assign it to the woods. That doesn't mean that there aren't people living there and that it's not it's not profitable because it is. You like I said, you herd animals there, or you grow food there. There might even be some lumber industry that happens there. But your house does not personally benefit from it financially. In other words, the people that do all that work, they sell the wood or they sell the animals or whatever, and they prosper, but you don't directly prosper. You probably levy taxes, but it's no more than what you would normally get from any other territory. Okay. If you wanted to develop the house into the woods, you would buy something with a higher wealth score. For that to happen, you have to raise your wealth because you don't have any spare wealth right now. You have 25 points of wealth, and all 25 of that is invested in something.
Now, if I remember how this works, you can either permanently spend wealth or actually anything to just basically spend something to something else, which is basically just role-playing wise is you're changing a policy or implementing something.
Right. There's a couple of ways. Yeah, there's a couple of ways to raise that wealth score.
Yeah. So you could like sell off the land or not pay for as many bandit patrols.
Right. What you will notice is that there is no like accounting of your finances in this game. You do not keep track of how much money you're bringing in and how much you're selling, right? Because God, is there anything less interesting than that, right? Instead,
role-playing game.
Yeah, it's all bare. Well, you laugh, but I play Ars Magica, and we do all that shit in Ars Magica. So, but in this game, that income and outgo, those expenses, it's all buried in the house stats, right? Like the house stats just represent all of the results of it, and the accounting is all just kind of underneath the surface. So yes, there's two ways to raise wealth or change your score. Actually, there's three ways. There's three ways to raise wealth. Talking, I'll probably think of more, but for now there's three. The first and easiest way for you to do it is by spending your own glory to do that. Now, players get glory as awards when they do things that people tell stories about, and you can spend that glory however you want, and then if we can, we'll come up with a role play story hook that kind of comes out of it. So if you'll see, I did this with you, James, for your character Corlin, because you wanted to spend your point to raise the warfare, raise the power of House Tanner, because you wanted to train more archers. And so that resulted in a new NPC. Did you see him?
Yes, I did. I like what you did there.
Stefan Longarm is a kid. He's like 14 years old, and he's not actually in the archery unit yet, but he is your best, most promising recruit. And we just made him up as a really simple tertiary character to kind of represent the fact that you're spending glory on it. And I wanted to help you feel like, you know, that had an effect on the story. So Stefan's now an NPC. And if I can, as you guys keep spending glory, I'll keep adding more story and kind of try to work that into the game. I don't necessarily know if I'll be able to create a new NPC every time, because that might get really big cast of people doing nothing. I don't want to create NPCs that don't do anything. But if I can, I'll try to work it in.
Cool.
So that's the first way to raise stats, is by spending glory. The second way to raise wealth, and only wealth in this case, is by donating a huge amount of money to the house. It takes 200 gold dragons. And that sounds like a fantastically rich amount. But the way that this game works is that you get rewards when you go on adventure. And those rewards will often be just huge amounts of money, fantastic amounts of money. And so you can donate those to the house and thereby increase the house's wealth stat. And then there's a third way to increase your stats, or I should say move them around. And only Lord Tanner can do that. Or if Lord Tanner is not around, whoever's running the house instead of him. And he can once per month use his house action to, instead of declaring war on someone, instead of waging war, or instead of whatever else he might be doing for the house, he can, instead of like building a new castle or whatever, he can administer his lands. And that means basically he can take points from one of his stats, one of the stats for the house, and move it to another house, to another stat. Now, you don't have unlimited control over this. Some stats can't be transferred, and some can only be transferred at a inefficient rate. Like you have to knock down your score by 2 to get 1 point in something else. But as long as you're willing to take your time at it, you can move things around, and wealth is really good for that. You can just reduce your wealth and raise other stats. And all of this what you can and can't do with that is in the House and Lands chapter in a really nice small little table.
Yeah. So
it's on page 122.
So if I understand it correctly, so you can essentially what it comes down to is you can directly spend your points, but they don't really get spent. You're just kind of saying, I now have a garrison. That's what part of my power actually represents.
That's correct.
Right.
And this can be bad too. Like if you remember, sometimes house actions are random, so bad stuff can happen to you. So let's say, for example, that let's look at the House Tanner for a minute, and if you look at the House Tanner stats, House Tanner's power, they have 5 points of available power. They have 5 points of power they haven't spent. So let's say that Lord Tanner says, "Well, I'm going to spend those points. I want to build another archery unit," and he spends those 5 points and builds an archery unit. Okay, let's say that happens in month 1. Well, then in month 2, let's say that there's a plague, and he loses points from a random stat, and that stat happens to be power. Well, now he has no unspent power. So, but he's got to lose 2 points from power because of the plague. So now he has to decide how are we gonna spend those 2 points? How are we gonna lose them? Are we gonna get rid of the garrison that we just recruited? Are we gonna lower its training quality so that it costs us less points? What are we gonna shed to pay for those 2 points of loss to the plague?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, or we can use our house action for the month to move some wealth in.
Yes.
We just used money to
hire mercenaries to replace the dead. Yes.
Yeah.
So right now you guys have, for example, if you look at the house, you have extra points in several of your stats. In a way, that's good, because that means that if you suffer losses in that stat, you don't actually have to lose anything. It's like having insurance, right? So you have 5 points of defense, you have 4 points of influence, you have a point of lands, and 5 points of power. And so if you lose points in any of those, you might not have to actually lose anything. I guess what I'm trying to get at is there is a benefit to having a few points to spare in a particular stat. That means that if you suffer losses, you can absorb those losses without actually bleeding.
All right. And have we done any house fortune rolls yet?
We did 3 house fortune rolls, and which we're still implementing. So we've implemented 2 of them, but we'll implement the last house fortune roll tonight.
Cool. All right, now that we've bored everyone with the house rules.
Well, we're all learning. Like we're all learning like how to do it, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, I really enjoy this kind of like weird subsystems and RPGs. I'm really kind of curious. Kind of what Dave does with that and how I like how they've kind of built the system. It seems really nice. So.
Well, this is really a game of subsystems. That's the interesting thing about Song of Ice and Fire role playing, is that it's got the combat system, and then it's got the intrigue system, which is like the combat system but different. And then it's got a warfare system when you guys have to take armies to battle, and you have 300 troops. I'm pretty sure they're not just for decoration. So they're gonna see a fight at some point, maybe even sometime soon, because I think that Lord Tanner's working on teaming up with the local northern neighbors to take out the bandits. Right?
That's correct.
So that might not be very far away. And then we'll test out the warfare system. And boy, are we going to discover how that goes. And then it's got the whole house system. So it really is. And that's not even counting any kind of magic system, which the game itself doesn't really have, but it has an optional rule system that starts to build it. So it's really kind of a game of all these sort of separate mini games that hopefully all make sense together. Like they all kind of have a lot in common with each other. The house system is the one that stands the least like the others. When you use warfare units, it's actually kind of very much like the regular combat system. Warfare units have health and they have combat scores just like regular fighting does. And you really just kind of run a unit of 100 cavalry as if it was one great big dude. You run it like a character. It's got some special rules, but it's very much intuitive if you already know the combat system. So it tries to take all of these different systems and make them as much similar as possible, so that you don't have to learn a new system every time. Cool. All right. you guys are at Hart House, and once again, a brief description of the scene. You arrived right around dusk to find a party going on, which is pretty much usual for Hart House. It's a big, expansive manor. It does not at first look like it's very strongly defendable. It doesn't look like a military site, but experienced soldiers like Lord Tanner would recognize that it actually is a pretty sturdy house. It's made of stone. It's got specific places for entrance and exit that can be barricaded and blocked. It's not a castle by any means, but it's stronger than a tower and could be pretty well defended by a well-trained garrison. Inside, it's opulently furnished with this beautiful black and white marble stone floor, antlers decorating all over the walls, a massive table that circles the walls of the house. So it's of the main banquet hall. In other words, the table isn't in the middle of the room. It circles the outside walls of the room, and that's where everybody sits. And this leaves the center of the room for dancing and entertaining and all kinds of other, displays. You were welcomed by the lady of the house, Lady Ayleth Bartheld, one of the great visions, one of the great beauties of the Trident. She is a daughter of House Swan. And she's the wife of Lord Bartheld. But you also learned that Lord Bartheld, he is not really cut from the same cloth as the rest of his family. He's not the kind of guy to do a lot of partying or to really indulge in social activities. He is by hobby a blacksmith. And so he doesn't even show up to the house parties. He's probably off working in the smithy somewhere or reading or just, whatever. And he lets his wife take care of all of the festivities. And there are a lot of festivities going on. There's lots of visitors here. Some of them Benjamin, you're old friends with Sir Corbin Celtigar. He's a knight that visits this house. He's been staying here for a little while now. He's got a reputation as a bit of a ladies' man, and he often employs you to be his wingman when he goes trying to seduce women. He's pretty good at seducing women, by the way, and he has this kind of gimmick play with you where he pretends to be your wingman. So he pretends that he's like building you up, but what he's actually doing, and then because he knows that you'll refuse, like he knows that you'll you always end up, I don't know. How does that end up? Because I presume that you don't eventually end up going off with the woman. So
No, I usually have some excuse that I'm needed someplace else or something's come up and I have to.
Very good. All right, so you're like Clark Kent. You're like, wait, I have to go. And he knows this. He knows you always do this. So he sets it up himself so that he comes in to sort of take your place and end up with the chick at the end. Corbin, you've also visited Hart House pretty often because you come here with Will. Yep. And you've been told that there's a hunt taking place in the morning. Davane Bartheld, he's not particularly fond of hunting, but his uncle, Fendrel Bartheld, who is Davane's, make sure I get this right. Is he Davane's brother? Maybe he's Davane's uncle. Fendrel is he's a kind of intriguer, a schemer at heart, and he enjoys the festivities and the life of a wealthy aristocrat. You know that he'll probably be out hunting tomorrow. Good. Yeah, Fendrel is. Let me make sure I get this. The family. Let's see. I don't have him written up on the website yet. Fendrel is the current heir because Davane and Ayleth don't have any children, and I believe that he is Davane's younger brother. Yeah, Davane's younger brother. That's right. All right. Well, as you guys arrive, you've been mingling around. Will's run off, probably chasing a girl. And Corlin, you spotted a strange guest at the house as well. Do you remember?
Yes, I ran into a young girl that I believe, because of the way she acted, is probably either the child of a highly placed servant or an actual child of a noble person, either someone staying here or just one I hadn't been introduced to of the actual house that owns Hart House.
Right. Bartheld.
Something like that. I'm currently unsure because she eventually jumped out a window.
Yeah.
Ran off.
Yeah.
Always the ladies' man.
That's happened to me way more often than I was. Children and women, they run from me. I was doomed from the beginning.
And she proved herself to be pretty elusive. I mean, you are a tough guy to slip. There's not many people that can just get away from you without you being able to follow them.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard for someone to ditch me.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But she did.
Apparently not.
Well, I mean, I was impressed. She definitely knew the house and knew where she was going. So she had an escape plan.
That's right.
And also, it's not exactly like I was getting ready to pull out a bow and shoot her and stop her, which is usually what I do with people that I'm chasing that are running away.
Lady Ayleth claps her hands and everyone turns to her and she says, "And now our entertainment for the evening." And she gestures and some curtains roll apart and an acting troupe tumbles into the hall. Let me pull them up right quick. The troupe of Cask and Wren. I'll put that in the
Cask and Wren?
Yeah, I'll write it down so you can see them. The troupe of Cask and Wren. Their name comes from an old tradition that at the end of winter, as spring is coming back, perhaps to help the spring come back, you drown a wren, the songbird, in a cask of wine, and their name is from that tradition.
Yeah.
There are actors and jugglers and dancers and fire breathers, and they roll into the open space amongst the tables and quickly begin setting up a stage while a bunch of them entertain the diners, the feasters, and the workers begin building this real simple stage with some basic sets.
Now, just a question: Did we realize there were going to be this kind of level of a party here? Is this unusual, or was this kind of what we expected coming here?
This is pretty much usual routine here. The Hart House prides itself on being an excellent place to come and visit, and entertainment is a big deal here. Yeah. Are any of you up to anything? Let me make sure I'm doing a lot of talking. I should let you guys just say if you want to do anything.
I want to try and see if I can talk with some of any other knights or anything. See if there's been any other talk about the bandits in the forest above us. Since they
sure. You have any kind of social skill that would help you do that?
Not really.
Not really.
Everyone has at least 2 dice.
Well, why don't you pick one and roll it anyway?
Oh, let's see.
Well, actually, that was my plan as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if we can complement this out or how that works.
Sure. You can work together, absolutely. Does Lord Tanner have anything? Are you talking to the knights like she is, or do you want to talk to one of the lords, or?
Oh, I'll be talking to lords.
Okay. So it sounds like you're actually talking to different people. So
okay.
So we'll have you guys roll separately.
Okay.
Let's see. I have no idea what I'd be rolling.
Probably something like
Persuasion, I think.
Probably something like persuade.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, I got 2 whole dice in persuasion. Woo!
Okay, roll it.
All right, 12 coming up. 12 coming up.
Hey, nice. All right. You ask around, and you find a group of the knights sort of all standing together and grousing about all of the things they think the lords are doing wrong, which is a pretty classic thing for the knights to be doing.
Traditional.
Of course.
Yeah. And you walk up to them and you overhear your old friend Corbin Celtigar saying, let me see, let me grab my notes real fast. That's right. He said, the Black Serpents, he says, that's what they're called. Why, it's shameful to have a noble house allowing outlaws and bandits to run through the kingdom without fear. What do you think, Benjamin? Do you think we should roust these men and murder them to the last man?
I agree. These cannot stand. They're nothing but thieves and bandits, and they're causing mayhem. They must be taken care of.
Well, quite frankly, when we allow these bandits to run unchecked, it makes the Lord appear weak and, dare I say it, unmanly.
Or that he just doesn't care about his people.
Well, no one would say that about the good Lord Ayleth Bartheld.
Of course not.
But yeah, so you learn that there is a local bandit group in the woods south of Hart House, and their name is the Black Serpents.
Okay.
And you're not sure how many they are or how dangerous, but Davane has not made any particular effort to get rid of them, and he's taking some needling about that from knights in the region.
What kind of things are they doing? Are they just like ravaging the countryside? Or are they?
Well, let me look at the map.
Houses.
If you look at Bartheld's territory, they're right along the King's Road. That big heavy black line that goes, diagonally southeast of Tannerton.
Okay.
That's the King's Road. And so Bartheld's territory lies right along that road. And so there's always travelers on that road. And it's the King's Road, so it's supposed to be maintained peacefully by the King's Justice. But the Black Serpents have been waylaying travelers along that road and robbing them.
Okay. So they're not actually attacking anybody on the guy's land. It's just the people on the road.
That's generally true. Yes. There is a little village south yard that's in that southern property right near the road. But it hasn't been attacked by bandits. It hasn't seen anything. Now there are some rumors of farmsteads elsewhere in Bartheld territory that have been robbed. But and the people of Land Bartheld, House Bartheld, are relatively prosperous. But it's just much more financially profitable to just rob travelers on the road. It's easy. You can set up an ambush, you can catch them, take all their stuff, and then. Okay. So they're mostly highwaymen.
How is the people feeling about this? Are they upset? Are they demanding that they are being taken care of? They're saying, they're on the road. They're not really bothering us.
That's a good question. You don't really know. The other knights that you're talking to here, they don't really know what the small folk think, and they don't much care. So the crowd you're talking to right here, they don't know what the people think. You ask that question, and Corbin's like, Oh, I'm sure they're terrified. They're small folk. What else? What other reaction would they have? They'll be very grateful to us when we rout out those bandits. And I'm sure that all of those beautiful small folk daughters will do anything in their power to express their gratitude. Am I right?
Well, right. You know, they need a nice, strong man to come in and rescue them.
I couldn't have said it better myself. All right. Meanwhile, let's get back to Lord Tanner. You're talking to some of the other noble visitors, and what's your question, or what are you trying to do?
Well, I was trying to figure out more information about the banditries that are going on.
Yeah.
On King Road in general.
Okay.
On both sides of me.
How would you like to do that? Do you have a skill?
Well, I have a skill. It's persuasion.
Okay.
I'd like to do it in a manner. Oh crap! All right, so I'm gonna roll persuasion. I'm gonna see if I can't get them to talk about banditry that's going on the road and what they know, and maybe get them a little riled up about doing something about it.
Okay, well that sounds like an intrigue, right? I mean, if you're trying to get people to do something, right? You're trying to motivate some people.
Okay.
Let's figure out who you're talking to, because that's going to be important here. There's Lady Ayleth, the lady of the house. There is Fendrel, who's the heir and Lord Devane's younger brother. Let's see. There's a Meister here, Meister Forthwind.
All right, so I'm going to talk to the lady of the house.
Okay.
My approach is not just to find out what she knows, but to see, if she can try and get the other people worked up, because I figure she knows everybody.
Yep. So you want to urge her, you want to convince her that the house should take action, and she can spread word through the Hart House's many visitors.
Right.
Yeah.
Because money bandits take is money everybody else loses. So.
Yes. Right. Let's. What is your? I'm presuming that your initial demeanor towards her is indifferent, which is basically neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you roll your persuade?
Using my convince?
Yes.
Eight.
You gotta call her first. That's what I did.
Curses.
Okay. Let's she's going to be rolling. She doesn't have any particular motivation about what she wants to do towards you. She's just going to roll to make you like her. She's just going to be trying to charm you. She wants to improve your disposition towards her. Okay. So she's going to roll. James, did you give us a link to our die roll room? Yeah, you sure did.
Yes, I did.
Doing what I want improves my disposition towards people. I'm just saying.
You're right. It does. It keeps assigning me a random that Alric whenever I log in at your on your die rolling window.
When you log in, it should ask you what your what name you want to use.
It didn't. It doesn't. It only asked me. But that's all right. I did do this once already, so I think.
If you first click on in the upper left where it says roles.
Yes.
You can go and then click on like try out dice roll. There's join a dice room. on the right, and it should have a place for a nickname and the room name. The room name is Unbound.
That's right. I think I can just do it from here. If I did it right.
And I think there's a way to rename.
Well, forget it. I'll just be Alric 16 for now.
/Nick. Then the new name you want to be.
What's that?
/Nick. NICK.
Yeah, and it says I need a password and stuff. I don't want to deal with it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's get a die roll for her. She is rolling persuasion. No, yeah, charm. Yep. And that is 4 + 2.
So that'll be 66 high 4, H4.
Yeah. Now, can I add 2 to that?
Yeah, just put a +2 after it.
I thought I was typing roll, but that's not right. There we go. Nope. How do I I've forgotten. I thought this is enough.
It's just a pound. So pound, and then the same thing you typed instead of roll.
Sorry, everybody.
All right.
All right. So it says a 14, but
yep,
she can re-roll that 1. So I'm going to re-roll 1d6. Oh, still a 1. Okay. All right, so her total is 14. What's your intrigue defense? Or 10?
8.
Okay. So you and she are chatting at the table, and wine is being served. You're watching the theater company set up. They start to perform. They perform a comedy called Dunk and Egg, a comical historical play. I'll put the name of it in the chat window. It is it's about some famous characters from history whom you have heard of. Dunk is Sir Duncan the Tall, famous knight. And his squire, Egg, was actually Aegon, the future King Aegon V, who adventured as a squire with Sir Duncan when he was a boy. These are all characters from the background, from the history. So the way the story goes is that Egg is traveling with his older brother, Daeron the Drunkard, when they arrive at the inn at the crossroads. And Daeron is drunk, as usual. And Duncan the Tall arrives, and Egg goes off with him to be squire for him at a tournament, leaving his drunken brother behind. They travel to the tournament. There's mistaken identity, some bed swaps, dirty tricks, and finally lots of combat, after which Duncan is victorious with the help of his resourceful squire. And there's a lot of pratfalls and gags, and everyone has a lot of fun because Egg, the squire, is the future king of Westeros. So there's a lot of sort of jokes and a lot of fun kind of had with that. People saying, insinuating things to him that you can do because he's a kid, but now we understand that he becomes the king, so it would be a huge insult or whatever. And lots of jokes about his family because no one knows who he really is. Stuff like that. While the play is going on, you are deep in persuasion with the Lady Ayleth, trying to persuade her that the bandits are a serious problem and need to be dealt with. You get the feeling that she hears a lot of people come through here, and they all have, big important things they want done, and she's pretty tough. She's pretty resilient to your persuasion. That doesn't mean she disagrees with you. She nods. She understands. She seems to listen to how serious the threat of the bandits are. The local bandit tribe, the Black Serpents, are not related to the bandits that live in Durain's Forest.
Okay.
Those bandits, from what Lady Ayleth has heard, are much more numerous and strong. There's like hundreds of them up there in the woods. The local bandit group, the Black Serpents, they're a danger, obviously, but there's nothing too. She doesn't seem to think it's too serious. Nothing that her house's military can't bring under control. So she does not commit to anything, but she listens to you. And then you guys are talking for a while the play is going on, and there's just something about her. She's just so magnetic and charming and charismatic. And she flatters you, and she, praises your wisdom, and she agrees with your points, and she seems to be so smart and intelligent, and she's just really good at charming you. So normally your disposition towards her would improve by 1 step, which would make you amiable. But she has the benefit, the quality of magnetic, which means that instead of charming you by 1 step, she charms you by 2. So your disposition towards her is now friendly.
All right.
Okay. So you think of her as a friend. But game-wise, you didn't hit her.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The play takes a few hours. Everyone's pretty entertained. The acting company is quite good, and they're aware that you, another lord, is in the house, is in the building. So they sort of play towards you and your interests, Lord Tanner. You can tell that they are maybe eager for another patron. Maybe they could come by House Tanner at some point and perform. So you see them sort of playing towards your seat a couple of times. Since you're seated right next to Lady Ayleth, this is particularly easy. Anybody else have anything you want to do that night? The play ends. Ayleth rewards the performers with a purse of silver coin. And everyone breaks up. Some people go down to the wine cellar to get even more toasted. Others wander off to find bedchambers somewhere in the house. And a lot of the lower class folks, just the regular soldiers or servants, they just, find a corner and pull a blanket over themselves and perfectly willing to go to sleep on the floor.
Is Corlin considered a servant or good enough to have some space in Lord Tanner's room?
That's probably something Lord Tanner would have to arrange, or you'd have to, figure it out. There doesn't seem to be any. When you're here with Will usually finds space for you. He finds a bed for you to sleep in.
Yeah. Well, usually his is empty because he's in somebody else's bed.
Yes, this is exactly true.
Yeah,
so you normally get his bed.
Yeah, Lord Tanner, for better or worse, is not as accommodating as Will is.
Yeah. You're a distinguished retainer, so you're not a simple soldier. You are the master of the hunt,
and he gets a more comfortable place as such.
All right. So why don't you give me a quick status roll, Lord Tanner, to persuade the local servants to treat your retainers well.
Does that have anything to do with stewardship?
No.
16.
Oh, yeah.
17.
Yeah. Apparently, orders have been placed to ensure that you and your company are well housed. So there's already a room set aside with 2 beds in it for your loyal retainers, and then a separate room for you and your son, Will.
Nice. So I assume me and Benjamin the Knight will be sharing a room yet again.
Yes, this is pretty common.
Yes.
And once again, Corlin snores like a lumberjack.
Yes.
Just glad to smother him one of these times.
All right. Time passes. Next day. You are woken by the house preparing for a hunt. There's servants moving through the halls, dogs being brought from the kennels, horses being prepared. It's a big deal. Lots of people will be going on the hunt, and there probably will be dozens of people involved.
Excellent.
So are all three of you going? I'm going to presume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So is this going to be a real hunt, as Corlin would call it, or one of those snobby royal hunts?
Well, I'm not sure if Corlin
knows how to do both if needed.
Well, it's competitive. All of the various knights and hunters and lords that are here have brought their hunters with them, their staff. Right? So it's there's going to be some competitive hunting going on.
So it's a real hunt then.
It's a real hunt. But
in.
All right, Corlin's in. Okay. Very good.
Corlin's waking William up early.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
We're gonna go hunt.
Find him.
I mean, I would have been excited to show off for some lords to try to build my own personal status, but if it's a competition, I'm in because I like to win.
All right. Everybody is given a wineskin to enjoy on the day, but the servants.
Why did hunting? What could go wrong?
Exactly. Yes. But the servants apologize that no more than one wineskin per person, which is a great disappointment to some of the knights and lords, including Fendrel and Sir Corbin. But the hunt, this is, Corlin, you were asking if it's a real hunt or a fake hunt. It's a little bit of both. It's like some of the people here are just going along to party. It's just an excuse to ride and drink a lot of wine and tell a lot of stories and have fun outside.
Yes.
Other people are more serious about it, right?
Yes, I'm definitely in the category of more serious.
Right.
I'm willing to drag any of my fellow house members into the more serious part or leave them out. I'm not going to force anybody to come other than maybe William, because I am trying to get him a little bit more into hunting.
Yeah, you don't see Will around. He's probably got a hangover. He's hiding somewhere. But I know that you're going to be rolling the hunt for your group, but because your hunt's by far the highest. But Benjamin, do you have any hunt at all or survival? Do you have any survival?
Nothing besides the two. Nope.
How about Ricard?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So Benjamin, you can pick one of these two good-for-nothings as your assistant.
You mean Corlin?
Corlin, that's what I meant. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Lord Tanner as my assistant.
All right. So the rest of
Be careful with that word.
I will be accompanying Lord Tanner and giving him excellent advice.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. All right, so Benjamin and Ricard, you guys are mounted. And Corlin, you're on foot. You can't. It's tough to hunt, follow tracks on horseback. You kind of need to be on the ground.
Are we hunting a specific thing?
So the whole party heads out, and you spend hours in the woods, in small groups, sometimes coming together to eat or drink, and then spreading out again. And every lord and knight kind of has their own huntsman helping them out. And it's a competition to sort of see who can find the best, most challenging quarry and track it down. And after a couple of hours, you find prints of a pretty large boar in the area. And so the hunters start competing to see who can find this boar and track it down. Corlin, why don't you give me a hunt roll? You get a +1 bonus for Ricard's help.
Got it. I've got.
Now, this is a good. Actually, tell you what. Why don't I have you wait? I'll roll for the competition first, and then you can see what you need to get, and you can decide if you want to spend some destiny or whatever. Okay. So I'll get you a target number. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So he's going to roll again the same thing. That's 6 dice. And keeping the top 4. Okay, so 15. That's the number you got to beat.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead and use my destiny point because we haven't used them before.
Yeah, because you'll get them all back at the end of this session, so you should use them.
Yeah. So when I spend my destiny point, I'm pulling it up right here, I can get a bonus die.
You can turn a bonus die into a regular die.
Yeah, I can remove a penalty. I can give someone else a penalty.
Yep.
None of these other things actually matter.
I think the best thing on a die roll for you would be to turn one of your bonus dice into a regular die, and you just keep it.
Yeah. The other option looks interesting too.
Go ahead.
Which is you can activate an environmental quality.
Save that until the fight.
Okay.
So as an example, there's trees everywhere. There's undergrowth. There's all kinds. These are examples of environment. So you can, for example, you could spend a destiny point and ignore the movement penalty from running through undergrowth, or you can spend a destiny point and I'm absolutely serious, by the way. You can totally do this if there's a crowd around you, like other people, and like if you're hunting as a group, you could spend a destiny point and make the attack that would have hit you kill that innocent bystander next to you.
Ow.
Yeah.
You and shields.
You can or you can make you can spend a destiny point and make them hit the tree, and you can activate the environmental quality, or you can ignore. So the way it works is that destiny points are a way for you to take advantage of or to ignore the environment. Right? Think about all those fight scenes that we watch where characters suddenly pull something cool out of the environment that just happened to be there, right? Or they escape unharmed through some environmental circumstance that everybody else has to work and slog through. Those are all that's represented by spending destiny points.
So for instance, this is what I was thinking.
Yep.
Is that looking at the hunt skill, there's a bunch of modifiers for where you actually are hunting.
Yep.
So I was thinking of acting a destiny point and say, I went to the best area, which would give me the modifier for spring or verdant wilderness on my hunt roll.
Well, okay,
I was kind of thinking of something like that.
So what really should be happening is that probably that modifier would probably be adding to everybody, but let's just do the simple version, which is how many? What's your hunt dice? What do you do?
I have 3 dice and 1 bonus.
Okay, so
I'll turn the bonus into a regular die.
Let's just do that and represent the fact that you've found the boar's hunting grounds.
There we go. Okay, that did not work.
Oh.
Okay. No. Okay, the instructions lied to me. Give me a second.
Well, I think you're just rolling 4 dice, right?
There we go. Okay, I got an 11. Wow,
okay.
That's a pretty crappy roll.
+1 for Ricard gets you a 12. So you are closing in on the boar's tracks when Fendrel's master of the hunt lets out a signal on a horn that they found it. They found the boar, and everyone rushes to try to get to it in time. You guys arrive about a round after Fendrel does, and there's a bunch of other people around you. There's probably about a dozen guys, including Benjamin and Ricard, all taking out weapons, trying to kill this boar. it's kind of a mass melee. You're in a forest, so imagine undergrowth, roots everywhere, all unsteady ground, trees with branches and and shadow, and then about a dozen guys running around with spears. You were saying earlier, Garrett, like get a bunch of hunters drunk. What could go wrong, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going wrong.
We got a bunch of people some on horses, all with long spears and bows, trying to find a boar that's literally smaller than the height of the underbrush in the shadow of the trees, and running about with people screaming and goes, it's over there, it's over there.
And a lot of them are drunk.
I see it, and spearing each other.
The only correction I want to make is actually your description of it is pretty accurate, James, is that the boar is not smaller than the undergrowth.
Okay, so it's actually, we're seeing the boar go around. We're just...
Yeah, it's a wild boar. And if you remember what, in the old days, what wild boars were like, these are huge monsters. I mean, they're not literally a monster, but these are very big animals, and their tusks can disembowel a man.
Yeah, they're like 300-400 pounds. They're big things. They're like 5 feet long and
So before we get into this, Benjamin and Ricard, you needed to decide what weapon you're using. Now, some of the men are using boar spears. You can be using a spear, or you can stick with your regular weapon.
Use my axe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably stick with the blade.
All right. Why don't we get initiative totals? So let me pull out the combat rules, and Corlin, you can absolutely be in this too, although I will note that this is not really an archery situation because there's some mass melee going on. I'm not saying you can't shoot into it, but it's very dangerous to shoot into the melee.
Oh, unlike the people who are trying to kill each other with swords and axes and...
Yeah, exactly.
So the idea I'd had, so just thinking here, is that Corlin, that he was really just hunting, and the idea was for Benjamin and or Tanner and Ricard to actually kill the animal he finds.
Yep.
And he has his bow with him, mostly if he could see any small game or whatever he could just opportunistically get.
Yeah.
He will take out his bow,
Yep.
but he has no intention of firing it unless some opportunistic shot comes up that's really clear.
Let's have you do that when your action comes up. You can take out your bow, and you can decide to use actions when that happens. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So everybody is rolling agility. If you can use quickness, if you're quickness specialization, if you have it. Okay. If you have an armor penalty, don't forget to subtract that from your agility roll.
Huh.
And somebody's got a flaw on agility, so they lose 1 dice for that.
Yeah. Would quickness be something that can apply?
Quickness applies, absolutely, yes.
Awesome. My dice are loving me.
Nice.
Wow.
So a 21.
Okay, hold on. I'm rolling for the board.
21?
24 minus 3 for my armor.
Wow. Wow.
Something's wrong here. Okay, got the wrong dice. Okay. Board does not roll a 9 on a die 6.
No.
If you don't provide a die, it defaults to D10.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. Okay. All right. So, Benjamin, what did you get again?
21.
I have a 13. Anybody beat that?
I got a 16.
Okay, great. Corlin.
I told you I'm quick.
You're quick.
Ricard, you must be going last.
3.
Yeah. That's right. He's the guy in half plate with a flaw in agility, so that explains that.
Yeah.
He hits hard, not fast.
I like to wait my opponents to commit to something before going in.
Yes.
He just goes in for the kill. He lets everybody else whittle it down, and then he goes in for the kill.
All right. Benjamin, you have closed to within charge distance of the boar. You can charge it, or you can move up more cautiously.
I'll charge it.
Okay. Go Benjamin. All right. So you draw your sword and charge. Now, drawing your sword on this first turn will impose a 1 die penalty.
Okay.
And then you charge, which is -1 die on the attack. But if you hit, you get more damage. So go ahead and make your attack, but you have 2 penalty dice. So what that means is you still roll the normal dice, but you take away the 2 lowest. You have to take away 2 from your total.
Okay. So would this be animal handling then for the charge?
Oh, you're writing? No, your animal handling will give you an attack bonus. James, what was that number? Is it adding the number of dice you have in animal handling to your attack score?
So, so it's actually the opposite of that. So when you're on a horse, if you want to make an attack, you have to roll animal handling to control your horse, and then based on that, you can make your horse attack or you can attack. Basically,
I'm talking about when mounted on a war-trained steed, you may add your animal handling rank as bonus dice on your fighting tests.
Yes, because it encompasses you being higher and having a horse that will try to work with you to get a good shot.
Right. So for now, I'm not going to make you. Well, roll an animal handling check to get your horse to charge the boar.
Okay. Oh, now I'm dying. So 12.
You succeed. All right. So what is your so your fighting is 4 dice, I believe. Your fighting is 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Plus 2 long blade.
So you would get a bunch of bonus dice for your animal handling, which is also 4.
Yes.
So you would be rolling 8 dice, keep 4, but you'll actually have to toss 2 of those. So you're actually rolling 8 dice, keep 2. So roll 8 dice and keep the 2 highest.
So does my long blade 2 also add to that also?
Your long blade. I'm sorry?
I have a 2B for long blade. Would that make it a 10 dice?
You can't have more bonus dice than you have regular dice.
Okay.
Now,
so, 8.
So that's why you're rolling 4 plus 4, because you actually have more than 4 plus 4, but it can't go higher than that. So roll 8 dice and keep the highest 2.
Well.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. You hit, but you did not get any additional levels of success. So what's your damage?
4.
Okay, so he takes 3. He's got 1 point of armor. And boars are especially dangerous animals, and the boar is going to take an injury rather than any health damage. So he, the boar takes 1 injury, and that allows it to negate those 3 points of health.
Mm-hmm.
But he will be -1 on all of his totals. And he actually takes no health damage. So everyone sees Benjamin ride up, and it's a good charge. He like leaps over on somebody's man-at-arms who's in the way, and swings with his sword, and he and you slice a piece of this boar off, but it seems to not even care. Like you slice some of its back off, and everyone sees like this divot of pig flesh fly through the air. Okay, Corlin, you're next. You are close enough to charge it if you want to. I know you probably don't, but I was giving you an idea of the distance.
No, Corlin is going to draw and ready his bow.
Yep.
Doing the cinematic, pull out a couple of extra arrows,
yep.
Get himself calm. Basically, I'm taking I believe there's an action you can take, which is like the aim action.
Yes.
Which is basically you bear down on a target.
Yeah. So what's your target? The boar?
The boar.
Okay. All right, yeah, so aim, and that'll actually give you a bonus. So your first lesser action is to ready your bow, and your second lesser action is to aim. So you now have a bonus die if you choose to shoot the boar. And that's good because you have penalty dice for trying to shoot into a melee. Okay.
Exactly. So
yeah. And you can also spend a destiny point to ignore that penalty. Okay.
Yeah, in this particular point, first of all, I already spent my destiny point just to get us time. But
you only have one?
Yeah, I only have one.
Okay.
Because I started with 2 advantages or 2 qualities.
Yep.
So
and this is, but to the rest of you that still have destiny points, that's something you can do. You can spend a point to use the terrain to your advantage or to ignore a penalty that the terrain will be creating. In this case, that penalty is people in the way.
Yep, and that will be basically it. So I'm set up. I'm good to go.
You have a bonus die. The boar.
He's not going to shoot it?
He's not going to shoot it, no.
No, because I'm worried about hitting somebody. So I'm basically waiting for an open shot.
Yeah.
But I figure somebody else will take it.
All right.
All right, the boar is going to counterattack Benjamin, specifically Benjamin's horse.
Your new horse.
Pay anything for it.
Yeah.
Neither did you.
We gave it to someone else.
All right. Let me get an attack roll for the boar. Boar gets an 11. And actually a 10 because he's got a -1 penalty for his injury. And the horse, you're riding what, Rouncy? Courser. What kind of horse have you got?
It was one of the ones that we got from the bandits.
You got to write this shit down.
I know. I did. But you know what? I don't think I spelled it right. Where did I put it? Rouncy.
Rouncy. Okay, yes, good. Thank you. All right. Rouncy's got a combat defense of 10, so he hits it. And he's going to do 4 damage.
Okay.
Weapons have qualities, and I need to check what this does. Powerful. There we go. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. So he does 4 damage to your horse, and it's still up. He's got 12 health, so he takes 1/3 of that. Okay. And I don't think a boar is going to get extra attacks or anything like that. It's just really tough. No, we should be rolling 3 + 1. That's right. All right. Sir, the Lord Tanner.
I'm going to attack it.
There's a massive melee going on. You want to charge it like Benjamin did?
Is there room to do that?
Well, yeah, it's hard. The boar is surrounded by people, so you're going to have some penalty dice.
Your animal handling.
4. I'll write it 3. So.
You can, if you have a destiny point, you could spend it to ignore that. You have 1, don't you? You have 1.
0.
You have 0 destiny points?
One less thing to worry about.
I thought for sure we changed that so that you had 1. All right, fair enough.
I thought about it, but I just couldn't give anything up. So I'm going to write in.
Okay.
I have 7 dice. Take highest 4.
Well, no, because you're losing 1 penalty die to draw your weapon, right. 1 penalty die to charge, and then 1 penalty die for the crowd. So you're losing 3 dice. But you're getting bonus dice for your animal handling. So is your fighting 4?
I believe it is. Yep. 4 and 2B for axes.
Right. So you can't really have more bonus dice than 4 dice.
Sure.
So you would be rolling 4 + 4, but then you're losing 3. So basically, roll 8 dice and take the single highest die. I know.
I didn't think that's how it worked. I thought you lose bonus dice first, then you lose actual die in the results.
Yeah, but ultimately you're still only keeping 1 die.
No, I thought it's like if you had 4, keep 4, you would instead of rolling 8, he'd roll 5, keep 4, because the penalties would come off the bonus dice first.
No, they don't. They don't subtract from bonus. That's not how it works.
Okay.
It's just dice taken away from your result. You roll penalty dice, and they're just dice take that you take them away after you've taken away any bonus dice. Yeah. So if you were rolling 3 dice with 1 penalty die, you would still roll 3 dice, but you would take away 1 die of your choice. So you would remove the lowest, and you'd be left with the highest.
Okay. Clearly, it's too crowded, and I can't do anything. So I watch what's going on with a bemused expression on my face.
Well, you can still draw. Remember, one of those dice is because you drew your weapon, and the other dice is because you were charging in. So you can still just draw your weapon and ride in. You just don't attack this round. Or do you not want to do that?
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's not what I would do. I draw my weapon.
All right.
And I have a bemused look on my face watching these drunk people swing their spears around.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Very good. You
may change if the boar busts out or something bad happens, but until then.
All right. Very good. Sir Benjamin, you are now in melee with the boar.
I would like to attack the boar again.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to add your bonus damage for charging. So when you did 3, you actually did 5. So the boar did take 2 health.
Awesome.
Go ahead and roll your attack. You don't have as many penalty dice this time. You were still rolling 4 plus 4. Now you only have -1 die because there's lots of people around you. If you have any destiny points, you can spend it to ignore that.
Let's see. 3.
So you're rolling 8 dice and keeping the top 3.
Not as good. 14.
Well, still, it's a boar. So you hit it. It's got a 9. You said you rolled a 14.
14. Yep.
So that you hit with 2. You hit with 1 degree of success. So take your regular damage.
Just 4.
Double it to 8. Doesn't your weapon? You said you have weapon specialization.
I got weapon mastery and long range fighter 1.
Do we know what weapon mastery does? Weapon mastery. You add 1 to damage.
Okay.
So that 4 becomes 5, and that 5 is doubled to 10.
So let me change that on my sheet.
Yeah. Unless we already added it. Maybe we have it wrong. But what's your character's athletics?
Athletics is 3.
And you have strength?
1.
Yep. Okay. So the damage of 4 is maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Maybe we already added the 1 because you would be doing damage with a long sword equal to your athletics. I think that's right. James is probably looking this up while I'm talking.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Well, okay, so we actually already added. So that we've got your weapon specialization already included.
Okay, so it would have been 3 plus 1 would be 4.
Yep. So 4 doubled is 8. -1 for the boar's armor would be 7. He'll take it.
And just,
what?
Just to point out, because it applies in the situation, her longbow mastery adds 1 to her fighting. She's fighting someone with no armor. So she actually gets 1 more on her fighting result. That's with the longbow fighter, not because she has both.
Does she get that for free, or does she have to use it?
No, just if she attacks someone without a shield.
Using a longbow, it's not because it's a shield. Okay, because if you're going to say armor, it's got natural armor that might not work. But
literally a shield.
But it's a shield. So yes. So you actually had, in this case, it didn't matter, but your total of 14 actually became a 15, Deb.
Awesome. So the long blade is +1 if it's no shield.
If the target has no shield.
Yes. And it has a maneuver you can do basically.
Yeah.
You can give up your bonus dice and just add if you hit, you get extra level of success.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right,
basically,
so
if you think you're going to hit, it's an automatic +5 to your result if you think you're going to hit without your bonus dice.
Okay.
You did another 7. The boar is going to take an injury to ward off some of that damage. Its endurance is 3. In theory, so it's going to take. Let me see. If he reduces it by 1, that would be 4, and it's already taken 3. He'll do it twice. So the boar takes 2 more injuries. That reduces the damage by 6, but it's already taken 2. So now the boar is at -3 health and -3 on rolls. It's injured. You deal it a more serious injury, but not a wound. So you thrust into its thick shoulders, and blood spurts out across your horse's chest. Corlin, it is your turn. You have aimed. You have a bonus die.
I have bonus die.
Yep.
The cool bow thing, which allows me to ignore penalties when I shoot. So, what's the penalty for firing into melee?
Well, I'm not sure what it technically is, but I think in this case probably 2 penalty dice is appropriate.
Okay.
It's harder than melee.
So we get 2 penalty dice.
Yeah, 2 penalty dice, but you have your 2 bonus dice right now. Right.
I am at 2 bonus, so I have 5 plus 2, and I'll be keeping. I'm going to roll 7, keep 4, because I'm at 1. No, I'll keep 3.
Yeah.
Lose 2 due to the penalty dice.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm going to roll.
You gonna try it?
7, keep 3. Yeah, I'll go for those odds.
Okay. A fumble in this game is when all of your remaining the dice are basically all a 1. So you would have to roll. You'd have to have 3 1s, or you'd have to roll 7 1s, which is very, very unlikely. So, or if you want to avoid the penalty dice, you can just hope that you don't hit an ally.
Don't hit me.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right, I got a 15.
Yeah. Good. Okay. You hit by with a 1 degree of with an additional degree of success. So give me double your damage.
12.
Okay.
And it's piercing 1, so I roll 1 of his.
Yeah. So its armor absorbs 1. That's 11, and I don't think he can absorb the rest. He could, in theory,
He already has injuries.
he could, in theory, take 3 wounds or 3 injuries, which would subtract 9.
You can only take injuries up to your endurance stat.
Yeah, his endurance is 3, but you can do that on. I think,
Has he already taken 3?
no, he's taken 2. He has. I thought that was on 1 round. No, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. All right. So in any case, 11 is enough. So how would you like to take down the boar? You're going to kill steal this boar.
Yeah, I've basically been calmly sitting over in the corner, and then as soon as so basically Benjamin strikes it a solid blow, rears back, and kind of turns to kind of move away from him. I just put an arrow in its neck.
All right.
And a classic bleed out hunting shot right through the artery.
All right. Well, if it is a bleed out hunting shot, the boar's going to get 1 last swing.
Works for me.
Let's make a roll on Benjamin here. Use the right number command. Benjamin, what is your combat defense?
So it's attacking me, not the horse?
Yep.
9.
He hits you.
Yeah, yeah, a 5 with my armor. So actually, it's
okay, so it's 5.
Yeah.
Okay. He hit you twice. So that means his damage is going to be 8.
Okay. So my armor rating is 6. So I take.
You take 2. Yep.
That's a scratch.
Yeah, it is. Like it'll go away at the end of the fight. Yeah, just scratch. He hits you. You know, he hits your. Give me an animal handling roll to stay horsed.
Oh, I'm down. I'm sure. My dice have turned.
Your dice have turned.
Rolled an 8.
All right, give me an athletics check to land safely as you fall off your horse.
You got an 8. An 8's not bad.
9.
Oh, that's good. All right. Your horse rears up as the boar lashes out at you. You take the boar like catches your leg in its tusk, and it like yanks at your leg as it thrashes, and you kind of take a tumble, and you are pulled off of your horse, but you land without further damage in the bushes. All right. The boar is over you, and it looks like it's a pretty scary moment. But as it starts to go for the kill, it just kind of collapses on top of you, and you feel this hot gushing of blood filling up your armor as the boar basically bleeds into your mail.
I killed it! Behold, the mighty boar is dead!
Yeah. Corlin will quickly move over to help Sir Benjamin up and congratulate him on his kill with a no face and a lot of sarcasm.
Okay. Everyone sort of gets together and checks to see if anybody else is hurt. There's congratulations spread all around. First to Fendrel because his huntsman caught the beast first, and then to Sir Benjamin for his valiant defeat of the creature. Corlin, everybody seems perfectly willing to let Sir Benjamin get the credit for this. Are you going to correct anyone? I mean, there's a giant arrow sticking out of it.
No. I will let Benjamin take credit.
Okay.
Enough people would have seen me that I will get credit for letting my knight and his lord take credit as a trusted retainer.
Right.
Retainer point.
Okay, I hear you. All right, so some of the other men on the hunting party do realize that you're intentionally letting Benjamin get the credit, and amongst the servants, this is respected. The knights and lords, they don't give a shit, right? they just like congratulate Benjamin, and they make it like Benjamin's the victor, and they don't seem to notice or care that Corlin's arrow actually killed the beast.
Yeah, but he was hiding in the back, so that doesn't count.
Servants dress up the boar and tie it to some posts, and you guys make the long, slow journey back to Hart House. The remaining wine is consumed, and then the servants that were smart enough to pack extra wineskins against the Lord's command break out the extra wine, and there's a lot of festivities all around. Anybody want to do anything? At all, either on the hunt or when you return?
Just tell the story of my magnificent kill, how I charged in and single-handedly took to them. Isn't there a skill for giving a big speech? I think pretty sure Ricard must have it. Oh, the honor of tenor hold.
There's a skill for giving a big speech.
I'm presuming. Maybe I'm just thinking persuasion. Is there an oratory skill?
If there is, I don't have it.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken.
There's acting, which is always useful.
What's that?
It's part of deception.
What skill were you talking about, James?
There's acting, which is part of deception.
Acting is pretending to be somebody that you're not.
Otherwise, I think persuasion, just straight up persuasion.
Yeah. Yeah, it might just be paid. You might just be able to use intimidate. But do you have any? You don't have any persuasion anyway, right?
I have 3 persuasion with a convince.
Oh no, I'm talking about Lord I'm talking about Sir Benjamin.
No, I
sorry.
just got yeah.
Roll 2 dice.
So,
Roll 2 dice.
roll 2 dice. Of course, you know, I'm hoping the drunkenness will, you know, help improve my story. 5.
5. All right. You Ricard and Corlin, you guys are around as Benjamin tries to tell the story. He's not very good at telling stories. It doesn't come off to his good advantage. Let's put it like that. Benjamin, you wish Will were here. He would make you sound a lot more heroic.
I'm sure I will tell him the story, and then he can help me embellish.
He'll help you figure it out.
Brave, brave Sir Benjamin. Takes the credit for other skills. Brave, brave Sir Benjamin.
Sir Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin. Yeah, and Corlin's staying out of it. He's no more persuasive to people than Benjamin is. So,
as you return to the house,
pat himself on the back. Arrow trick.
What was that, James? What was that, James?
Himself on the back for his subtle arrow thing.
Yeah, it was a good shot.
Of letting
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very, very proud of him.
As you return to the house, you see the acting company preparing to depart. There is a slender, fair-haired girl staring out of a second-story window. Corlin, you recognize her as the girl you saw last night. She's apparently still here. But when she sort of watches, she's kind of got her hands up against the window, and she watches all of you come back towards the house, and then she dashes off from the window. The head player, the head of the acting company, steps out, walks away from the wagon. The wagon's sort of departing, and all the actors that are traveling with it, they're all starting to walk away. And the chief player sees all of you coming, and he steps away from the wagon and approaches Lord Tanner. Lord Tanner, I hope that the troop of Cask and Wren might be welcome at your house. We would like to, we could have something special to perform for you.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Excellent. And we'll plan that for a future season. In the meantime, congratulations on your heroic victory, Sir Benjamin.
Thank you.
And I look forward to meeting all of you. And he, with a extravagant flourish, and as he walks backwards, he then turns around and jogs to catch up with the rest of the troop.
Cool.
All right. Time passes. You guys eventually return to Tannerton from Hart House. We'll presume that you bring Will back with you. You eventually find him and drag him back. And let's get the last of the house actions done. And also, if Garrett wants to use any of your monthly actions to move any of the house's stat points around, you can do that. The last House Fortunes roll that you rolled was something bad. You're going to lose a die 3 from one of your house stats. So I'm just going to roll. No, sometimes this will be decided if I have a plot and I can think of a way that the story would interact with your house stats somehow. I might just decide what stat it subtracts from. But in this case, for the first time, we'll just roll it randomly. So let's roll D7. Oops. That's 7, and we get a 7, and that's wealth. So you're going to lose 1 die 3 points from wealth.
Where's my wallet?
Yeah, exactly. Let's roll a die 3. You're going to lose 1 point from wealth. Now, this is important because you do not have any spare wealth. Your wealth score, all of the 25 points in wealth are allocated to something. So you're going to have to move points into wealth with your house action, or else you will lose something.
Right.
You might have to cancel some of the festivals, or stop getting money from your port, or your Meister might have to leave and get recalled back to Old Town.
No, but I can move a point from, like, one of my available points from defense, though, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can. So if you look on that, if you look at the chart on at the end of the house section, let me find it real fast. I'll try to. Here we are. It's on page 122, and nothing else can be moved into wealth. It looks like. I have a bad. This is so you can move wealth. You can move points out of wealth, but you can't move anything into wealth, unless you want to donate glory. That would be the way to do it. If somebody has a point of glory, you could spend that to cancel out this penalty, this loss. You see the table, it's on the bottom of 122, and it tells you what you can move where.
Yeah.
Influence can be put into law, land can be put in defense, and so on. But none of those things allow you to move points into wealth. Wealth can be moved out into anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So you can't use your house action. But if if someone has a point of glory, you could spend that to negate the wealth.
Let's go ahead and I've got one, so let's go ahead and throw that in.
Okay. So let's figure out kind of how that story would go. Like, what is the wealth loss? Well, the obvious reason why you guys would lose money is the bandits.
Yeah.
The bandits, we'll say that they raid the ferry. There's a very famous ferry that carries people across the Trident River at Tannerton. And a large group of bandits, and we're talking about dozens of men, in a bold nighttime raid, attack the ferry and sack it. And they kill like a couple of men that work the ferry and were sleeping in the cabin there, and they run off with the coin box that represented like about a couple of weeks worth of money. Now, you guys don't operate the ferry, but what we're going to say for the purpose of the story is that House Tanner reimburses the family for the lost money, and that represents their loss of wealth. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Benjamin's donated glory point compensates for that wealth.
Okay.
All right. So now, let me make some notes of that. -1 wealth, and then Benjamin spends 1 glory to wealth. Now, this still leaves Lord Tanner, you still have your house actions. Now, in theory, you had 3 of them in a row.
You're right.
Ordinarily, I would make you spend them one at a time, but because we're learning how to do it, you can use them all now if you want to.
Okay, so the question is, knowing my goals,
Yes.
best way to spend them that gets rid of the bandits. It represents us going up and destroying them.
Well, you're going to have to actually go up there and destroy them with the military. If you
Right, but any gain has to be represented through.
So you could start putting points into land so that you could claim that land when you take it over. But that's planning ahead. You don't technically need to do that yet because you haven't actually defeated the bandits. What you might do is put more points into power in order to recruit a more military.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
So you could take points from defense or influence, where you have 5 and 4 points to spare. And can any of those be used for power? Let's check the table that I was just looking at.
Population could be used for power.
Okay, you can only move 1 point of your population without changing your house fortunes roll. If your population drops to 30, you do not enjoy the full benefit that you currently enjoy.
So, am I reading this right? Defense can't be exchanged for anything.
I'm looking because defense represents castles. Like you've actually built. Like how do you tear down the castle to do something else? Right. That's kind of what. Yeah. That's probably the theory there. So correct. You cannot use defense for anything.
All right. All right.
You can move land into defense. You can move population into power. Right. So So maybe
law.
Law is your lowest stat, and it's actually getting you a penalty on House Fortune's roll because of the banditry in House Tanner's lands. So you could put points into law. You could move some of influence, like you've got 4 right now, into law, and if you can get law to 30, your House Fortune's roll penalty will go down. So that might represent you haven't destroyed the bandits, but you are deterring them enough that they are not coming into House Tanner's land.
Yeah, let's put some points into that.
All right. So where do you want to pull the points from? Influence?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me pull up our sheet here. And, I know that we're all kind of learning how it goes. So, don't sweat it if you make a mistake. I mean, this is a long-term game. So, making a mistake this early on, it's all going to pan out in the future. So how many of your 4 influence do you want to move to law?
Just 1 second.
Okay.
I'm looking up to see how much power we have. We have any power to spend. Oh, I have 5 power as well.
You got 5 power.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's move. Let me see. I have 5 available defense. Wait, I'm sorry. I have 4 influence. Let's move 3 into law.
Okay. So that leaves you with 1 spare influence and 3 into law, and that raises law to 27.
Okay. Then can we move 3 power into law to bring it to 30?
Yes, but I think it might need to be 31 to get. I think that's the threshold. But let me check. If it's 30, then you can just do that. Law. 31.
All right. Well, let's put 4 into that.
So 4 power. Yep. So that leaves you with 1 spare power. That's Corlin's glory point still in there is what that is. And that 4 points into law raises that to 31. And that crosses you over into the new threshold. So now you exert a great deal of control over your lands, and crime is uncommon. And that will also result in a instead your house fortunes penalty will go down from -2 to -1. So you have a +1 more bonus to your house fortunes roll.
Good.
You have 1 more house action if you want to use it.
I can't think of what I'd want to use to do.
Yeah, then that's fine. If you another way that you can use this is the other actions are things like recruiting a new unit or building something, none of which you're going to do. So I think my hope is that our next big plot is going to be your warfare against the bandits, because I want to learn the warfare system.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Corlin, we're going to be going to war.
Well, I figure it was inevitable.
Do either of you, either Benjamin or Corlin, have any warfare ability other than the 2 dice that everyone has?
No. Yeah, I'm a 3.
You have warfare 3. Okay. Corlin, do you have any warfare?
Just a second. I closed my character sheet by accident.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Inexcusable.
Yeah, my laptop's about to die. I was closing some things and trying to make it last till the end of the session. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. It's all good.
Are you laying down?
Sort of.
He's
That doesn't look comfortable.
He's in recline.
It's actually quite comfortable. The laptop would be on my lap.
Looks like your neck is like, forced up, so it's just like filling your neck.
All right, so any warfare, Corlin?
I got stuff. No, I have it too.
Okay. All right, so what you're going to find, Ricard, is that Sir Benjamin is your sub-commander. In other words, when you go to war, you can put Benjamin in charge of one of your military units, and he will get an action of his own.
Okay, good.
So what you might want to decide is which of your military units would you put Benjamin in charge of? You have the cavalry, the garrison, or the archers.
Probably the garrison.
Okay. Benjamin, do you want to give me a name for the garrison? This is units have to have colorful names. Like they have to be the something. The guard or Ricard. Do you want to name your cavalry? Like, do they have a name? The 20 horsemen that fight together.
Peals of thunder is tempting.
Do they all use axes like you do?
That's a great question. I haven't.
It's totally up to you. It doesn't matter. And
yes.
The warfare system does not care what weapon they use.
Yes, they use axes. Okay,
so now you can call them like, the long axes or the I don't know what the blade. I don't know what we would call an axe wielder. A bunch of axe using guys, but think about names for these units. Corlin, you should name the archers because they're like technically you can't really command them because you don't have any experience commanding men, but whatever you want to name them is what they're going to be named. Okay.
Corlin's best.
Okay, sure.
Is right up there at the top. I'll let Lord Tanner correct me if that's the official name or not.
You're spelling your name Corlan. I thought it was IN. Is it AN?
It is supposed to be IN. Did I misspell it today?
Right.
Oh, I did. I misspelled it today.
All right. Corlin's best. All right. Corlin's best is your archers. All right. So we'll start working towards the military plot, but there will also be non-military stuff for the other characters to do, that aren't just fighters. And when we go to war, I'll divide up the units amongst all the players, so everybody will be making die rolls, even if you're not even actually in the fight. Like, so if Will Tanner doesn't come or your wife Jenna doesn't come, they'll still be rolling dice during the warfare action. All right, let's get your house fortunes roll. Garrett, roll your stewardship. You have your bonus for head of house for good with numbers.
Right.
And then you have another 1 die, another bonus. Add a full die to that, and add +1 more for your high house fortune rolls modifier. So whatever you would normally roll, add another +1 plus a die 6.
Okay. Is this status?
It is status with your bonus dice from stewardship.
Right.
And then +2 for head for numbers.
Yeah. All right. So it's 6 dice. 2 dice.
What are we rolling?
And then as I'm reading it, it's 6 dice, take 4, add 2.
Well, you would you're rolling normally 4 plus 2. You have 4 plus 2 bonus dice.
Yes.
Okay, so the House Fortunes roll gives you a bonus regular die, not a bonus die. So that's 5 dice.
5 dice and 2. All right.
And then, so you're rolling 7.
All right.
Take the best 5, and then add 3 to the result.
All right. Come on. Ah. 23, 24, 25, 26.
Holy shit.
Is that right?
26 is a blessing?
Just a second.
Yep.
18. It's 5 dice. Oh. 18, 19, 20.
You should be rolling 7, keep 5.
Right. Just a second.
Yep.
30.
30.
Yeah, I didn't count the 5th die.
All right, so you get your house has a blessing this round, which just means figure out the exact amount of what that exactly means. Here we are. 1 die 3 to 1 resource. So let's roll randomly, and I'll figure out a story for this. Roll die 7. Number 1 is defense. And then we're going to add a die 3 to it. 1. Okay, so you're going to add 1 point to defense. Lots of rolling to get a small number, but that's all right. Probably represents improvements to the hall, to the castle. You now have 6 points to spare in defense. You are 4 points away from improving Tanner Hall to a small castle.
Oh, we should do that.
Yeah. Alternately, if you have 10 spare points, you can either improve Tanner Hall to a castle, or you can build a new tower, like on the forest border or something. Right? Someplace that would be strategically useful to you. 10 points can either buy you a tower, or it can improve Tanner Hall to a small castle.
Wow.
But you're 4 away. You only have 6. You need 10.
Oh, right.
All right, but you have you have a house action, which you may use anytime between now and next game. You might be using it to raise to go to war, but let me think about the plot, and maybe that might be next action instead.
Right, and I want to hear back from the guy.
Yeah, that's right. Your northern neighbor. Yes, exactly. Yep. All right, let's get some XP.
Yay.
For all of your adventures at Hart House, a moderate intrigue and minor combat, everybody gets 5 XP and 1 point of glory. Garrett, you're recording these changes to disposition towards these NPCs, right?
No.
Okay, do me a favor.
I need to. I didn't think about it.
I do need you to do that, because what happens is that it's not just a role playing thing. It's like a mechanical thing. So you have a friendly disposition towards 2 NPCs. That's Lady Ayleth and Ayleth Bartheld. You consider them your friends.
All right.
Okay. Very good. All right. Now, so I sent around a note a couple of weeks ago about languages. If you want your character to be able to read, and I suspect that Ricard probably needs to be able to read, but it's up to Garrett. He doesn't have to.
I need to.
Okay. Then you need to spend 10 XP on the skill on the language ability. And you might have 10 XP by now, because you just got 5. I don't know how much you already had. I think you had 8.
That takes us to 15.
Okay, so you need to spend 10 to raise your language to 3. That represents your ability to read and write.
All right. I'll do that right now.
Yep. Just subtract that 10. That leaves you with 5 XP.
Yep.
Corlin and Benjamin, I don't know if your characters want to be able to read or not. That's totally whether you think that fits their background.
Nah, I don't think she would. So
okay. Corlin,
can you reason why Corlin needs to be able to read?
Yeah. All right. So you guys can keep your XP. You can spend however you want. It costs 10 points to raise something from a 2 to a 3. Okay. But to raise it higher than a 3 costs 30. Also, you can spend 10 points to add a bonus die to anything.
And you can't get more bonus die than the rating you have in that skill.
Correct. Correct.
So when you say bonus die, does that mean choosing a specialty?
That's a specialty. Yes, exactly. So we're gonna retcon Ricard's literacy. We're gonna say that he always knew how to read or write. We just hadn't spent the points on it. Okay.
Okay.
If the other two of you, if you already know what you want to spend XP on, you can just tell me. Like if Corlin, if you want to just add more bow or whatever, you can just tell me. Otherwise, go ahead.
I'm going to hold off right now. I'm just going to bank mine.
So yep, that's fine.
Either to increase ability later or buy a destiny point if I eventually don't have anything to spend it on.
Yeah. Now what happens is when you're in big adventures, when you complete a big adventure, you'll get a destiny point. And that'll just be given as an award. But you can also buy one with XP if you get 50, a lot of XP.
Yeah,
you can buy a destiny point.
But you can exchange destiny points for what are they called? Abilities or whatever. Not abilities.
Benefit. Qualities. Yes, exactly. Now, but hopefully you won't have to save up XP to buy a destiny point. You'll get one as an award for completing an adventure.
Yep, makes sense.
Deb, do you have any idea what you want to spend points on? I mean,
not yet. So
you got a lot of choices. I mean, you could just save up to raise your fighting. Your fighting of 4 is solid, but experienced knights all have 5s.
How much would it be to go from a 4 to 5?
It'll be 30 points, so you're halfway there.
Okay. I didn't know if it kept going up exponentially.
No, it's always 30. After once you get to 3, it's 30 points for every level.
Okay.
In theory, you can go to 6 and 7. You can just keep raising it. But you're halfway to a 5 if you want to just keep saving.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep saving for now.
All right, very good. If anybody wants to spend glory, if you already know what you want to spend it on, you can tell me, or you can save it and write to me over email.
All right.
Okay. Save it and let me know, and then we'll pick up next week with a new adventure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna hit the stop button. But for those of you that are listening, we should pick up with maybe some warfare action next session. Thanks, everyone.